Hey guys, I'm here with Delorean 10909, which is one that I bought about 6 months ago. Needed a frame restoration, motor put back together, all kinds of work. I was going to document the majority of my restoration and ended up just not doing it. Got working on the car, decided what the heck. But one thing I did want to document was stripping the black paint. As you can see, this car was painted black, dealer painted car, painted back in 1982 in Denver, Colorado. Not that I dislike the black, but as you can see, it has some scuffs on it. Lots of nicks, lots of scratches. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna strip some of this off of here. I'm gonna start with a quarter panel in the back here that's got some damage on it. So in case it doesn't go well, gotta repaint it anyways. But the plan is put this thing back to stainless. So as you can see, my other one in the back, all regrained, looking really good. Hope to have this car look very, very much like that one. Gonna use aircraft stripper here. Heard some good things, heard some bad things, but we'll see what happens here, and stay tuned. All right, so about ready to put the first coat of stripper on the car. One thing that I did have a buddy that owns a body shop tell me was make sure you wear rubber gloves, obviously, and he told me to wear a mask and do it outside. Well, obviously I don't have the mask on yet. I did pour some in a jug here to get ourselves started. Fumes aren't too bad yet, being that I'm outside, so we're just gonna go ahead and get things going here. See what happens. So we got to keep this wet for about 15 minutes or so. It should eat this paint right off. So we'll see what happens here. Give it a good coat, keep it wet. I masked off some of the plastic trim just because I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen there. Can always go back if I don't get it close enough and redo it a little bit. So see if we can watch this thing work its magic. Try not to hit anything we shouldn't. And if we do, well, got some more stuff to fix. All right, guys, so back at it here a couple days later. First day didn't work out so great, but I did figure out a couple tricks. So putting a plastic bag over the stripper just kind of keeps it a little bit more damp, lets the stripper eat at the paint before it dries up. One other thing that I found was to scuff the paint up, helps the stripper grip it a little bit better. What I was having the other night was the stripper seemed to be having a hard time eating through the clear coat. So now we're working on the dreaded left front fender, which I was a little scared to start with, but I'm just going to go for it. If I got to repaint it or whatever, we'll do that. But doing the door now, I just about got that done. Pull a sheet off here in a little bit, or the bags off here in a little bit, and show you what I got. But it seems to be about 3 coats. The stripper says 45 minutes to work. It takes 45 minutes for the first coat to really eat, and then scrape it off, put another coat on, let it eat some more, it'll eat through the primer. But it's a work in progress. It's slow, so don't expect to rush through this very quick. All right, so I was using the white garbage bags before, as you can see there, and I switched to some really thin, like visqueen type plastic. And I've only had this coat on here now for about 15 minutes. You can see it's already all bubbled up underneath there. Whereas this one with the garbage bags was taking way, way longer than that. Let's try and scrape some of the stuff off. You can see it peels it right off. It just takes several coats to get it to come off. But now we're finally making some progress right here. And I will have to pull this black trim off of here eventually. I'm just trying to get as much of the paint stripped right now without blowing the car completely apart. Because I'm still driving it back and forth to the shop every day. So, but it's starting to come off here pretty good now. I put about 3 coats on here. Still some paint underneath. The trim is a little hard to get. Getting under the paint, and there's still some primer coat underneath there. Coming off pretty good. It's gonna be a project. I'm just using like a plastic scraper I bought from O'Reilly's, which I really like O'Reilly's, but they had a good tool there that I needed. So other thing I'm using is plastic razor blade. It's a little thinner, can really kind of get up underneath some of that tough stuff. So move it up pretty good. yeah, so we'll just keep working at it here, and I'll update you with the next one here. Okay, so now going back to this one left front fender, just a little section down here though. This has only been roughly 20 minutes now with this thinner plastic on there, and we'll peel this back and you can see how with letting less air in, thinner plastic, take that off here quick, peel this off, right, that just like bubbled that paint right up. So that's the reaction that we're looking for, and I guess the way I was doing it with the garbage bags before wasn't a tight enough seal, so it was not allowing the stripper to suck into the paint because it was drying up too quick. So you're gonna watch this. I'm just gonna scrape all this shit right off of here. It's gonna be awesome. This is what we were looking for the whole time. Oh yeah. See, now I got a whole, yeah. See, that's a big chunk of paint there. Came off way easier. This left front fender was replaced on this car at some point in time, so doesn't appear to be any primer underneath it, which is probably helping a little bit. Yeah, it scraped up way easier like that. So yeah, so there we go. There we have it. I'll keep working this a little more here and update you shortly. Okay, so working on the left rear quarter panel now. Just getting things scuffed up real good here. Did find some body filler at the bottom of the door yesterday, which kind of surprised me a little bit. But it doesn't seem to be that there was any damage in there. So just scraped the body filler off. Had to soften up the body filler a little bit with the stripper, which does a nice job of softening it up. You need the plastic scraper, razor blade to kind of get it worked off of there. But so yeah, so we'll work on the top part of the car here now, see if we can get this one stripped off this afternoon, and see how it goes. But scuffing it up seems to help with having the stripper take to the paint a little bit, makes it a little bit more aggressive. So definitely recommend doing that before you start. All right, so day 3 now of stripping this thing. As you can see, I'm working on the left front fender, and for some reason, whoever painted this car put body filler all over the freaking place. Not quite sure what that's about. Everything seems to be pretty straight with the exception of one little dent that was in the back here that I knew about. So the body filler has kind of made my life hell scraping this stuff off, but I have found a few tricks, as I mentioned previously, that help get this paint softened up, and one of them is just laying this stuff on super thick. Just get a really thick coat on here, and it seems to come off pretty good. Once it's good and softened up, I'm just using a plastic scraper here. The paint itself isn't that bad, and it's just under bare metal under it. It's pretty easy to get off, really. Just a few coats in a little time. What's giving me the hard part is this body filler. As you can kind of see it, the greenish colored stuff in here. They must have just been trying to get the car super flat, super perfect. Obviously black shows a lot of blemishes, so I'm guessing that's what's going on there, because it's not like there's any significant body damage where they need to put Bondo or body filler underneath there. But yeah, so anyways, a lot of elbow grease. Yesterday I did the bottom of the driver's door, and I started grading the left rear quarter panel here, as you can see now. That had some major scratches in it. I don't think you can probably see them just with the lights in. Yeah, you can kind of see them in there. They had taken a DA sander and kind of scuffed it up to try and get the body filler to stick. So I've had kind of a tough time getting those out. Just using the flap wheel and some 80 grit sandpaper, and just kind of working that best that I can, little bits at a time. But otherwise, the fender cleaned up pretty well so far. So happy with the progress. It's just really slow. It's gonna take a while. But, keep digging at her. Okay, so onto the right front fender now. All the paint for the most part has been stripped off. This actually only took about 2.5 coats, so came off a little bit better. I really put it on heavy this time, just to try and get it out. I knew there was probably gonna be some body filler underneath the paint, which you can see right here. That is obviously some type of glaze coating or Bondo or whatever they used back in the early 80s to smooth the body panels out. So there actually is no damage under here. They just use it probably to try and get the paint really flat. Pretty typical. Pretty much anytime you do a paint job, you do some block sanding and some body filler to get everything straightened out, get it as flat as you can. So what I'm doing here is, this is either my choice is to sand it off, or I can kind of scrape it off. So what I've been doing here is just heating it up with the heat gun, and I'll do that here, and then it kind of bubbles it up, and then it'll scrape off. It's not exactly a fun job, but it's working. So not making a huge mess. So that's a good thing. I'm just gonna heat this up, and you guys will see it start to bubble. When it starts to bubble, then we know it's ready to come off. It'll take a second here. And you can see the bubbles starting to pop up. So you don't want to get this so hot that it will warps the metal at all, but just want to get it hot enough so that it pops this Bondo loose. Okay, so take that and see, it just kind of scrapes up. It's not great, but it's hot. I've been wearing gloves until I shot this video, so excuse me for not going great. All right, so pretty much just little chunks at a time. Yeah, it sucks, but beats the hell out of filling my shop here with dust. Probably a little quicker actually to do it this way than to sand it off, unless you're going to use like a belt sander or something like that. But then you risk messing the stainless up. Okay, so I got about, I don't know, a little over halfway through the job here, and I ran out of the kind of aircraft stripper that I was using that I started with, and I went to a local parts store and grabbed this Rust-Oleum stuff, which read up to be about the same as the other stuff from what I'd read online. I've always been a big fan of Rust-Oleum products. Always worked really well for me. So I'm pretty impressed here so far. I'm kind of wishing I would have used this on the whole job, but this is after 2 coats and roughly maybe an hour sitting. How well it's eaten this stuff up. It is a little bit different reaction from what the other stuff was giving me, but as you can see, it has worked really well on parts that I've scraped off here so far. So I'm just going to go ahead and try scraping some of this stuff off so you guys can see how it does. And as you can see, there's some body filler underneath here as well. Man, that stuff is really coming up. So yeah, pretty excited for this Rust-Oleum. I should have been using this all the time, I guess. Oh well, live and learn. We got the next one that I'm just going with this the whole time. All right, so resuming back in here, this is about a week since my last video that I put out, I would say. Yesterday I was able to get the last quarter panel here stripped, and I actually was able to sand and regrain the T-panel. As you can see the difference from the top of the door to the T-panel. Turned out really well. I'm really happy with that so far, so excited to get going on the rest of the car here. But before I got too carried away with the car, I wanted to get the inside of the doors done. Then I can really start the graining process, and I obviously have to pull these fascias off yet. But I'll get that in due time here, not really in a big hurry. So today I started on the inside of the doors with the stripper, and this is actually about a half an hour in here after removing the panels. A couple coats of stripper on here, and just taking my my scraper here. Bought these at Ace Hardware, and these things are awesome. So if you're going to strip a Delorean, these little plastic razor blades are an absolute must. This one's obviously really mucked up because I've been scraping paint off, but yeah, as you can see, it's just kind of working at this, and it's lifting it. It's just going to take a couple coats. You have to keep going back over it. Take a Scotch-Brite pad, kind of knock some of it off too. It's the combination, everything's working pretty well. It's just a mess, you know, and I knew it was going to be. So this is really the part I've been dreading. Pull the lights out, pull the door panels off. Just got as much stuff out of the way as I could. If I really wanted to do this, I would take the doors off. Because there's going to be some areas down at the bottom here that I'm going to have a really tough time getting at, but I'm just going to get the best I can for right now, and if I end up pulling the doors off at a later date, I'll strip it the rest of the way then. But I'll get as much as what the eye can see, and if there's some stuff underneath the door that you can't see or up against some of those seals, I don't think anybody's really going to notice, and I don't really care, to be honest with you. If you're looking that hard, that's on you. But anyways, yeah, so this is going pretty good. Just going to keep working at it here. Hopefully have this one done, finished up tonight. So once we got all the paint stripped off of the car, I had a lot of deep scratches that were put in there from the body shop prior to the paint, which you guys saw in some of the earlier videos. But in my process of trying to get those scratches out, I used a drum sander like this, which ultimately put some waves into the stainless steel. Not real noticeable to the naked eye, but you get under the right light, you can kind of see it's wavy a little bit. So what we're gonna do today is, one, use a body file to try and flatten some of that stuff out. And it takes time. This is a very good tool, but it's an aggressive tool, and you just got to take your time with it and not go crazy. Also, we are going to still use the drum sander. Just going to hang the sander off the edge of the drum just a little bit so it flexes, and that will eliminate any waves that are in the stainless. You just got to make sure that you really keep this thing moving all the time, back and forth, up and down. Don't hold it in one spot, because then you'll get pits like I had. And last but not least, we are going to take the wolf head wheel to it today and try and get some of it grained out and get it real nice. I've actually have grained the entire car already. It looks great. There's just a few blemishes in it that I want to get out of here. So again, just kind of going over and doing some final touch up before we're all done. So stay tuned. You want to make sure you apply pressure moving forward with this, and not a ton of pressure, because it really does cut pretty well. So you don't want to do any damage by dragging it back. So make sure you're putting your pressure on your forward stroke. And again, you probably can't see on the video the waves that I can see in the stainless steel. It's all coming from the LED lights above. But there's hardly anything left here now. Just working out some final blemishes. Okay, so again, just kind of using my drum sander here, that I can still see some real slight ripples in here after I filed, just areas of the file couldn't get into a little bit. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just going over the surface around the little pits that I see, trying to level it out a little bit. So there's really hardly anything here. In fact, most people that aren't looking for it aren't going to see it at all. But we'll just keep working at it here a little bit, and then I'm going to take the wolf head to it and just see what we got once we're all done. So. I'll probably have to repeat this process a number of times over before I get it to where I'm satisfied with it. I'm kind of a perfectionist that way. But most people would probably call it good where we're at right now, but I'm not ready to quit just yet. Okay, so I'm gonna mask up here real quick. I'm gonna wear a mask, even though we're in the middle of COVID. I should have one on anyways, but I'm in the garage by myself. So this thing kicks off a lot of dust. So I'm gonna throw a mask on here quick. Got my glasses on for safety. And see what we got here. That looks so much better. It's unbelievable the difference that this makes. I may run over it one more time here yet before I'm done, but man, what a difference this wheel makes.